Hey, welcome everybody to Ask Nate. This is your host, Nate Freeman, and today we are going to be answering the question, what was it like being blind? Now, um, I wish I could just say, hey, close your eyes and walk around, and that's what it's like. But that's not really how it is because at the end, you get to still open up your eyes and see. That's not a true depiction of it. The other thing is it wasn't always completely dark either. That's another thing. But how I ended up blind was, of course, I had been a diabetic for uh, at that time. Let's see, 20, almost 22 years at that time. 22, 23 years, and I had 20/20 vision all the way up until the age of 24, and then I started to have some vision problems, which they treated with laser treatment. And basically, what happens is the blood vessels uh, in my eye begin to seep. And so, what they would do is they would go in there and zap those areas where it seeped, and then um, that would stop the bleeding. But after so many laser treatments, that causes scar tissue. And the scar tissue actually starts to pull on the retina to detach it. And so what happened is they went in and they cleaned out my eyesight in one eye, all the scar tissue, and I really couldn't see well out of that eye at that time. But they had just done the surgery, and then they were doing the surgery on my other eye. Well, it's my left eye that really caused the biggest problems. I went in, I was on the operating table. And all I remember is during the surgery, I woke up and I feel the doctor in my eye. I guess when I woke up, I jerked. That caused him to rupture my retina, which caused bleeding on both sides of my eyes. And yeah, and so I was told that the doctors came in and basically said, Mr. Freeman, you're probably never gonna see again. That was their exact words. And I came from an area that you just don't quit. Um, you know, I know this is I know sports is a game, but I relate a lot of things to sports. You know, Steelers, the immaculate reception. Um, you know, my high school coach brought Steelville High School their first on the field state championship. He's the winningest coach here. I mean, we just were taught not to quit and that you can make it through everything. And it's like tough times don't last, but tough people do. And so I just took on this mindset, and I knew that God had healed people with blind eyes. I read it um, several times where Jesus, he healed the man who was blind, and in fact, he prayed for him and said, "What do you see?" He says, "I see men as trees." Then he spit in the ground and then we prayed for him and said, "Now what do you see?" He says, now I can see." I just am a firm believer that if there is a way that it can be done, and I've always put my since I become a Christian, I put my trust and my faith not on what I'm experiencing, but on the what the Word of God tells me. And my grandfather, my mother's father, his favorite song was "Amazing Grace." And I once was blind, but now I see. That always stuck out with me, and that was something that, to this day, I'm a living testimony of the healing power of God, um, of what He can do. And I just want to encourage you today, no matter what you're facing. Now, it wasn't like I prayed and the next day my healing came about. There was a process that took place. And I want to tell you, He's the God of the process. He's the God of the instantaneous healing. He's the God of of this earth and the universe. And I just choose to believe him at his word. And in my simplicity, I just believe that in our simplicity of faith, that's where we really find God. We don't have to make it as complicated as everybody uh, has it to be. And I want to leave you with this. I remember I was kind of went through a pity party during that time. Yes, pastors go through pity parties. Yes, when you lose your eyesight and everything, you go through these times. I went through these times, and I remember, um, a great man of God came to me and he said, ex-Marine came to me and was like, hey, stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're healed. He just laid it to me the way that God knew I needed it at that time. Um, I accepted his words. Um, Later on that day, I talked to a friend of mine. We were on the phone. He kind of echoed the same verbiage to me as well. And I was sitting there and I was praying. I could take you to the duplex in the back porch there where I was at, and I just began to pray. And it all of a sudden, it was like this warm light came into the room, and I looked, and all I saw were hands. And I just heard Jesus say, well, why don't you trust me? Because I was trying to earn my healing at that point. And he just basically asked me, why don't you trust me? And I said, and I just started to cry even more. And and I was like, man, Lord, if I never see again, I'm just blessed. I'm blessed to be in your kingdom. I'm blessed for everything you've done for me. And I just thank you. I just thank you for everything that you're doing for me. And I receive everything that you have for me. And I want to tell you that next week I began to see. Was taking classes. All my tests I take verbally. Well, this test I took that week, I took it by paper, aced it. The professor at that time called me the miracle man. And I said, I'm not the miracle man, but Jesus Christ is the miracle man. I'm just living, I'm just a living testimony of what he can do when somebody surrendered to him. So hey, stay surrendered to Christ. I hope you have a place to worship this morning. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow on the next episode of Ask Nate. God bless everyone.